left. So we had supporting claims. That was the first one that I want to check with you, since that's the one that we did kind of at the end of the class. I was going over how we should do those. So that's where I want to start. So just make sure you send me your answers, please, through the chat so I can check those out. Forgive me if I'm looking around a lot. I got 3 monitors again now. So, I'm kind of like, I got you guys over here and I got the chat over here, and I'm just kind of all over the place today. So we're making it work. All right. So I got enough. I think we can kind of get started with that. All right. Looks like one more person is here. Let me finish my attendance. Beautiful. Love to see it. All right. So let's take a look at those supporting claims questions that we got here and talk a little bit about how we're supposed to do these for the SATs. So let me pull this up right here. All right. So again, we're looking for something that supports the idea or the claim that is presented. Now, some of these are a little bit of an easier style. Like, I think this first one is a little bit of an easier kind of question where we're really just trying to look at like which piece of evidence would be the best in terms of like what kind of evidence gives us the most support for something. So we don't have to get too much into the content here. We're really just comparing the different answers that we have, So we have this case of photography. And, we get the idea that he's planning on using some of this. The student here, Laura, is planning on using some of this photography from this very noteworthy photographer, right? So the question is kind of like, all right, what would be a good justification for that decision to use that photography, right? So we got a few different options. Like, looks like most everybody here is saying A, which is that the photos themselves are really, really good. They capture unique characteristics of a tribe, right? And, we can go back and see that, okay, there was an uncontacted tribe in the Amazon, and that we're discussing remote cultures around the world. So this is something else to keep in mind. Like, if her class is focusing on this topic, then obviously I would want to pick a source material that really focuses on that topic. And if I got a guy who has pictures of people from an uncontacted tribe in the Amazon, that seems like a pretty good justification. So I already like that first answer. I think you're all right there. Let's see what the thing says. Wait, this somehow got in my way. Yeah, A looks right to me. I would agree. Again, the pictures themselves are what matter here. We're looking at using this person's work as source material. So I think everybody got that right. That looks pretty good to me. Now, it looks like everybody here is saying C for the next one. Let's take a look at this. So this is a similar case. Like, I also would consider this a bit of an easy question on the test because, we're just looking for like a quote from the different interviews. And so all I want here is a quote that sort of fits with what she's trying to say in this piece that she's working on. So she's getting opinions about lab-grown meat, right? And this is sort of the claim. She found most people were open to trying out new food sources if they had assurances over safety and sustainability. So this is sort of her thesis, right? This is like the main conclusion she's come up with based on what she's heard from these people. So all I want to look for is, again, which quote is going to do that the best way, which quote kind of illustrates that. You'll notice, again, sometimes supporting claim questions have longer answers that sort of force you to slow down a little bit. Sorry, I'm a little congested today. But just look at like the first lines to help you kind of eliminate some answers. Like, it's hard to say for sure it's probably not going to be the right answer. You want a clear position from the beginning. Lab-grown meat isn't natural. I don't trust food. Okay, this is the hater. This is the person who doesn't like this idea. That doesn't go with what she said here. So I'm going to ignore that right away. Could be a great alternative. Already I like C. And then this part kind of goes off topic. Like, it's like, oh, this is cool and whatever, but it's not really a good answer. So you don't feel like you have to necessarily read every single word in these answers. Try to filter quickly by those first few lines. Like, I can tell this is negative. We want something positive. This one is ambivalent. It's ambiguous. It's in the middle. I don't want something like that. I'm going to want something that's affirmative. And so this one is affirmative. This one's off topic. So C seems right to me. Good stuff. I got, looks like a lot of A for number 3 as well. Let's see here. So we're looking for evidence for his theory. Again, I got to figure out first, what is the theory that I'm trying to support? That's always the first thing I'm going to do with supporting claims. All right. So I kind of look in the text here for the word theory. I see this theory, so I know I need to go backwards. And okay, so he disagrees with the conventional wisdom that their population decline was due to overpopulation and resource depletion. Instead, it was infectious diseases. Okay, so he's saying that these people of Easter Island died because of disease, not overpopulation and resource depletion. So I just need to find some evidence that would show that they got diseases. And maybe skeletal remains showing evidence of European introduced diseases. That seems pretty good. Let me just check the others real quick. Resource depletion, that's the other theory. That's not what we want. A journal entry. All right. Mentions of illnesses. I mean, that's not bad, but I don't know if it's the best one. Paintings and carvings depicting scenes of sickness and death. Okay. I want to examine a couple of these because, like, I feel like a few of these could support the theory here. And Mariana, you kind of said you were stuck between two options here, so I'm kind of curious what you think. How would you make the choice between A and D?
I really remember that that question, so maybe I can read it and then tell you.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. Any other opinions here on this stuff while we're thinking about it? So again, what I want to think about is like, what's the best, most concrete form of evidence here? I think that's really something I want to make sure I pay attention to. Like if I'm looking at this set of choices that I have here, one of these pieces of evidence, skeletal remains, having with like evidence of these diseases, this is pretty strong. Like that's okay. I dug up some bones and like I can see that the evidence there. That seems like a pretty good piece of evidence for me to use. I would probably be inclined to use something like that. A journal entry is a little more anecdotal, right? It's like it's hearsay. It's not necessarily concrete evidence. So like that's something I'm not so sure about. Looking at the other option of the paintings and carvings, like again, that's not bad, but at the same time, like, do we know when those paintings and carvings were put together? Do we know for sure that we're interpreting those correctly? Like, what if because notice it says could be attributed to foreign diseases brought in by Europeans. Like it could be, but what if it isn't? What if they're just like drawing pictures on the wall? Like this evidence is the best evidence because like that's hard evidence. I've got skeletons with literal, image it. Like I can look at the damage the diseases did, that like actually left on the body. Like that to me would be better evidence, which is kind of what I want to look for here. So again, keep that in mind. You might see more than one item supporting the theory, but like you got to pick the one that gives you the best chance of success here. Like the one that would convince other people the most, right? The hardest piece of evidence. Let's take a look at what you got here. Looks like a lot of people said D for 4, so I think we're going to go through this one pretty quick. All right. So D was quantifiable data showing people with the keto diet experienced reduced cholesterol and LDL levels compared to baseline. That seems pretty good to me. The findings, again, I want to look for the word findings. The research showed that they experienced reductions in body weight, waist circumference, total cholesterol, and LDL levels. Okay, so if I see total cholesterol and LDL levels, that's a good match. That's probably the right answer. Yeah, it looks like it is. Now, again, looking at some of the other options here, like testimonials, online survey, those are not as good. Those are not great pieces of evidence. Like there could be other factors, quantifiable data is like, I measured it. I had you come back and I studied your body weight and I did testing on you. I didn't just ask your friends and family or ask you to complete a survey. Like I'm getting data that is like legitimate scientific data. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these supporting claims questions. Like some of the questions are asking you just to figure out which kind of evidence is best. And then other ones are asking you to think specifically about, this exact situation, which I think is the case in number 5. So I'm seeing some C's, I'm seeing some B's. All right, let's take a look at some of these. Which one would most support the hypothesis? What's the hypothesis? Here it is. He hypothesizes that this decrease may be due to an increase in predators. Okay, so we got a fish that is declining, and he thinks it could be because there are more predators. All right, so I got to find the predators. Where are the predators? Okay, he plans on conducting surveys of predator populations, species such as the tiger sharks and bluefin tuna. Okay, so very simple logic here. If there are more predators, that would probably suggest less of whatever this is, Cyanopsa ocellatus, right? Because these are the things that eat that. So if there's more of these, that would explain why. That would support his hypothesis. So I'm looking for a piece of evidence that shows more predators, right? So increase in the number of tiger sharks and bluefin tuna. Oh, but there's a catch. They appear to be feeding on other species. So no, it's not that. Decrease in those populations. That would be very confusing. All right. So we got C and D based on your answers. So we like B. If B is true, decrease in shark, then that would be saying that there's less predators. So something else must be causing the decline in this. Like if the things that eat you are gone, you shouldn't have to worry about being eaten. So you should be doing great. Being eaten would suck. So it's nice if you don't have to worry about that. Let's see here. Survey reveals an increase in the number of predators that don't typically feed on Cyanopsa ocellatus. Okay, so that would explain why they're declining, but that doesn't support the researcher's hypothesis. He's specifically looking at predators. So yeah, C is the only answer that makes sense here. Okay, that's correct. Good stuff. All right. Pretty straightforward. We're going to do some more of these later which I think will help. But again, supporting claims, like you want to make sure you're thinking about what kind of evidence is the best. Generally, hard evidence, like quantifiable data, physical evidence, test results, scores, like those kinds of things are better evidence. I'm going to prefer those answers. If I have answers that are like, oh, other people's opinions or anecdotal evidence or like survey things, that's not always as good. I probably don't want to use those if I don't have to. And then making sure that like what you choose actually does support the claim or hypothesis or findings in the text. All right. So that's the first one. All right. Send me your answers for grammar. I sent you grammar number 2. I want to see those next. These should be easy peasy. I told you these were easy peasy before, but I want to make sure they're easy peasy for you. Grammar questions ought to be the easiest ones to do on this test. So I want to just do a quick check, see what you got. So send me your grammar question answers from set 2, please, and thank you. And if you need access to all the stuff, remember that all the files are in the folder. All right, the folder that I made that I put in our group chat, and is also like linked in descriptions of our videos. I've been putting up videos lately about this stuff, so all that material's in there. If you don't have any of these PDFs, you can go get them. But you guys obviously are in the WhatsApp group too. You should be able to get them there. If you have any technical problems or need me to send them to you directly, just let me know. All right, I got it all. I got Michelle's, I got Julian, I got Clarice. Looking good. Everybody's giving the same answers. So either that's a wonderful thing or a terrible thing. We're gonna find out. Could be the best thing in the world. Could be terrible. We'll find out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 people who did their homework. 5 people did their homework. You love to see it, Mariana. All right, let's go. Yeah, these don't take long. I wanted to make the homework small, little chunks, little things you can do quickly. Just 10 minutes here and there. Little workout every day. It's good for you. So let's see. Give you like another minute. There's Sebastian. I like it. Thank you, Sebastian. You're making my day. All right, let's check it out. All right. Everybody's got the same answers. I'm seeing the same ones. So let's find out if y'all are right. All right, let's go. I'm still sharing the screen, I think. I'm not sure. Yeah, looks like I am. Okay. Let's see here. So again, grammar questions. Remember, just read what you need. I just want to look, as soon as I see this conventions of standard English, remember, I just want to take a quick look at my answers and I see, oh, it's playing with grammar. It's playing with pronouns specifically. So all I got to do is just take a look at this blank and figure out what comes before this, right? So we're talking about type of something, right? I might even look back and see if I can find another example of that phrase here. And I do see this type of urban design is up here. So that's a clue. And I would probably want to be consistent in my text, right? But again, we're describing it as we speak. So I would probably say this type of design. Like, since I'm describing what, the situation is, I would probably use this type. And that seems like the right answer to me. So good job. All right, let me shut up my WhatsApp for a second. Sorry. It keeps beeping in my ear. All right, so yeah, I got yours too, Francisco. Thank you. Let's check it out. All right, everybody's saying D for this one as well. Again, just verb forms, right? If I see the same verb in 4 different forms, one of which is not the correct word at all. This is not a form of the word see. All right, that's a thing that you put in the ground to grow a plant. Many prisoner forms are increasingly seen. I would want to use the past participle here. That is correct. D, good job. All right, lovely. Y'all are saying B for this one. Let's check it out. All right. He called it Brad's drink. And you're saying it was made. All right. That seems right to me. We're talking about the past tense, right? He called. So I would use the same thing, past tense. And since it's an it, this is not correct, but B is correct. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's go. All right. Everybody's saying A for number 4. All right. That flourished in what is now central and southern Mexico. All right. They're playing around with the order of words a little bit here. They're playing around with the right way to phrase this in now known as. No, that would be weird. These two are definitely wrong. What in now? No. Yeah, A is the only one that's a complete sentence. Y'all had no problem with that. Good. If you did, we have bigger issues. All right, number 5. Everybody's saying D for this one too. You guys are all unanimous. You love to see it. All right, so again, I see the same thing. I have a bunch of different verb forms, right? So all I got to do is make sure I have the right tense. Now, its use continues to grow, ensuring something for future generations. Now, I got a couple choices here that could work pretty similar, but I think one is better than the other, right? Because I have this its, I probably want to copy that and be consistent, and that's why I would say D. You could C could work. You could say ensuring survival for future generations, but there's a problem with that I want to make clear before we move on. I want to make sure that it's clear that we're talking about the language. This whole paragraph is about the language. Nahuatl, right? Nahuatl. Like every sentence starts with Nahuatl. So I want to make sure I'm staying consistent with that. If I just say survival, it could be talking about like the future generations, like ensuring survival for the people. Like as if knowing this language is key to survival. Like if we don't learn this language, we're all going to die or something like that. So it's important to make sure that you don't create ambiguity. Make sure that you're keeping the meaning clear. By saying it's survival, I know that we're not talking about the survival of future generations. We're talking about the survival of this language, which is the topic of the paragraph. So all y'all got that right. Good job to you. Love to see it. All right. We got one more to look at. Sentence completion set 7. I threw a little bit of a harder one at you. So we're going to check those out and then get to work. We got sentence completion 7. 5 questions, big chunky answers. Let's see what you got. Send me your wonderful responses. You guys made the grammar look easy. I like that. Grammar really shouldn't be hard. That should be the easiest kinds of questions. So I like that you're doing good on those. We'll probably not do any more of those now that I'm happy with how you're performing. You did pretty good in the supporting claims too. We'll have to see how we do on that. All right, I got Michelle's answers already. When you send me answers, it lights up my day. It makes me a happy person. I do a lot more homework than you guys too, so I think it's really fair that I ask you to do the homework because I got to make all this stuff and then like clean it all up and make sure it looks decent and then like organize it all and then like plan a class. Like do much homework. Like I'm asking you guys for just a little bit. Adolfo did his. I like it. All right, Francisco. Ooh, we got a little bit of variance. We have some different answers in some different cases. This makes me happy. I like a challenge. All right. I'm seeing I'm seeing a lot of BADAD, a lot of badad, but then I'm also seeing babak. I'm seeing badukada. Yeah, trying to put all the letters together and say words. All right, interesting. We're kind of all over the place. This is gonna be fun. All right, I like it when we're not all 100% in agreement. But it looks like everybody so far agrees on the first answer. That one has been unanimous so far. You guys are all saying B here for this. Let me just make sure my screen is on. Um, I lost my fourth monitor, guys, recently. I had four monitors. The fourth one broke, so my setup's a little jankier than normal. I hope you can forgive me, but it's still working. Okay, so all right, everybody says B for this first one. So let's take a look at this. Again, I want to talk real quick about our strategy here because remember that we're trying to complete the text, and a lot of times these are going to be at the end of the paragraph. So I'm kind of looking for a conclusion that is like either summarizing or thinking forward. And I want to make sure I understand the topic of the sentence. So I like to go back and read that first sentence. So I see we're talking about feudalism, which was the economic and social system in medieval Europe, impact on the development of the region. All right. So just knowing that, it's reemphasizing that point, shaping the development of the European continent. I want to look for one then that kind of does focus on that. So culture of superstitions. This is like a side note. This is not on topic enough. Fostering the growth of a powerful and influential noble class that would shape the social and political landscape. That could be good. Social, was up here too, along with emergence of new technologies. I feel like that's not really what it was trying to talk about. Foundations of democracy. That's interesting. I don't see where that would come from feudalism, though. Feudalism was pretty exploitative if you paid attention in history class. So I'm with you guys. I think B makes sense. Looks like we're good. Now, the second one, though, we have some deviations. We have a lot of people saying A, but I see some other answers here, too. Let's take a look. So, invention of the computer. All right. Computer has been a game changer. Damn right, man. I'm using one right now. It's amazing. All right. Transforming our lives, opportunities, automation seems pretty good. It seems like that would be a good answer. Let's see. This D one is also not too bad, giving us the power to accomplish simple tasks, reach out and connect with others. Although the in our immediate area is a little bit of an odd point there, revolutionizing the way we think and interact with the world. Yeah, I don't know. All right, that one's not terrible. But I would say it kind of repeats a lot of the same ideas. I don't know. And then this one seems negative. I don't think it would be negative. And this is just wrong. So I would agree that between A and D, those are the answers that you all have provided. I'm leaning more towards, A here because it does summarize everything pretty well, but it also explains the result of that productivity and efficiency, which I think is important. And I would agree with that answer A. Like, again, I want to think forward. So this one did a nice big summary of the points in the paragraph, but then it goes forward by explaining the results of all of this, which is a good place to end your paragraph. Whereas this ending is a little bit vague, like, in a remarkable way. I don't know. How? Be more specific than that. I think A is better. All right, 3, I've got some B's. I got some D's. I even got a C. We're all over the place on this one. Interesting. I would love to hear some justifications. All right. Julian, what do you think for this number 3? Why do you have D? What do you like about it?
I chose D because well, I'm getting to the question right now. Is it's because I it's basically because I didn't think it was the other three.
Okay.
I didn't have any,
Process of
any reason.
elimination.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. I can work with that. Michelle, you got a different thought here. What did you think about C?
Yes, so because they said that they were inspired by the Art Nouveau, um, I just like interpreted that they stopped like maybe having some creativity and then shaping and influencing the design industry.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So yeah, let's take a look. We'll take a closer look at that. I want to hear also some ideas on some of the other ones here. Sebastian, I don't know if you got your mic working today because I know you had some issues with that before. Yeah, but if you could tell me what you thought for B, I'd love to hear it. Or maybe not. I know you were having some issues before with that. All right. Well, let's take a look at some of these options then. So first of all, it's about this Art Nouveau movement. I don't know what that is, but that's fine. Whatever. It emphasized organic abstract forms, symbolism. You could see some examples of it here. Paris Metro. Cool. Adopted by modern artists. All right. So I probably here, want to get in touch with like something related to those modern artists, right? This answer would probably want to be something connected to them. Looking at the first one, it says, though not popularized in the 20th century, even though it was a major cultural force during its time. I feel like that doesn't really go with it. Doesn't really make sense. Not popularized or widely accepted by the fashion industry. Like, I'm not sure why the fashion industry was necessary to mention here. I wouldn't throw that new idea in at the end of a paragraph. So I'm going to say that one doesn't make sense. Noticeably absent in the modern of the 21st century, despite... All right, so that one, I can see some logic behind it. Like, hey, modern artists, except for this one, but it was good in this one. I also think, though, that this kind of goes back and forth a lot and doesn't really, like, conclude in a coherent way. Like, I don't want to go back and forth where I'm like, hey, lots of modern artists, except these ones. But these ones did. Like, it goes back and forth, and I don't really want to do that too much. So I'm liking C and D, but now this thing here, right? Who introduced and has been adopted by modern artists who refuse to continue to shape or influence the design industry. Like, I don't know why I would have all that info about like these artists suddenly refusing to engage with the industry. Like, it doesn't quite make sense to me, especially because we're focusing more on the movement and the like work itself, So I feel like D is a better answer. Inspiring the works of many contemporary creatives. That makes sense with the modern artists. Shape the artistic world of today also makes sense with this idea of modern artists. Like, it doesn't take a different direction. It stays coherent. And I would say I probably would choose D. And that is the right answer. And yeah, it leaves this last point that it wasn't accepted so much in its time. But, I think that that's something that we can, they point out here that it's coherent with the rest of the sentence. And at least that point is at the end. It doesn't go back and forth. It presents a clear case and then points out this extra detail at the end. I would rather see that detail here at the end than somewhere in the middle, like in these cases, because I feel like that is going back and forth. And it's better to kind of, minimize the number of times you change directions, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that's what I would say. I think D is a good answer there. All right, fourth one. It looks like everybody put almost, well, there's some C in here too. So let's check out some of the other options you got. But War and Peace, classic novel. All right, so I just want to go here. Its influence has been profound. So all I'm looking for now, this is a nice, easy one to me. I have the word influence, and I just want to look for the answer that gives us the best influence, right? And right away, inspiring and inspiring kind of both catch my attention, right? That's how you influence something. You inspire somebody. Seems like a good answer. Inspiring generations to read to think more deeply about war, peace, and understanding. Okay, this seems like a pretty good answer. Embrace the power of love and understanding that surpass any barriers, such as those created by politics or religion. If I was between these two choices, I would just want to check the paragraph a little bit to make sure that it talks about those things a little bit. I didn't see anything about religion in here, so that's why I would not mark C in this case. This word religion doesn't fit, okay? There's something that's not there. Whereas war, peace, that's the title of the book. That's probably the right answer. This is pretty extreme. Igniting the flames of chaos and destruction. Man, that sounds like some metal lyrics right there. Yeah, that's not the answer. A is the answer. Yeah. Inspiring generations to think more deeply about the very topic of the book, which is its actual title. Who would have thought? All right. Last one. I got some C's. I got some D's. Let's take a look at C and D. Again, the introduction of Eli Whitney's cotton gin helped lay down some of the building blocks that did a thing. All right, so without going back to read, let me just take a look at this real quick. All right, sparked a dynamic shift in global politics. That seems probably too, I don't know. I'm not sure how this would happen. Lay down the building blocks. I don't know about this. Led to an unfortunate increase in world temperatures due to increased industrialization and other environmental factors. Maybe. I mean, that's kind of maybe true, but like, I have to go back and look. Propelled the country into ambitious space exploration. I don't know much about the cotton gin, but I know it was during like plantation slavery days. This seems a little too much. So right away, I'm already looking at D and saying would eventually lead to America becoming one of the world's most influential economic powers. That kind of makes sense for me. Now, if you do not have a lot of American history knowledge, I would encourage you to like read up a little more about it, because having a little bit of historical context can make your life easier. Like, I know that this cotton gin is around the time of slavery, and so we were a very agrarian society. Like, this is before the Industrial Revolution. So that's why I can tell you C is definitely not correct. And I also think that like B doesn't really make sense. Like, I don't know if I would blame Eli Whitney for global warming. That just seems like a stretch, you know? These they go too far forward. Now, D, though, it says would eventually lead to America becoming one of the world's most influential economic powers. And I feel like that is a good statement. Like, that is true. Eventually lead to. It's a good conclusion. It's a good forward thinking. Wrap it up. D's your answer. Good stuff, everybody. All right. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and stop sharing those for a second. We're going to change gears for a minute here and talk about another kind of question, and then we'll get into some more stuff. Real quick, before we continue with the other stuff in the class, I just wanted to point out that we had you guys do a practice test on Thursday. If you were not here Thursday and did not do the practice test in Blue Book, please do it. And if you did do it and you haven't sent me your personal scores, please do that too, because I would love to have those. I actually only have, hang on, 4 people. The only 4 people that sent me their scores, Juliana, Francisco, Arolo, and Mariana. If you sent me your score and I didn't say your name just now, forgive me. I was running back and forth from Spain. I may have missed your message. But if you could just hit me up again and send it to me, that would be great, because I want to see where we're at and I want to see how we're doing. We're going to be doing more of those as we get closer to the test. But since we're about halfway through, it was like a good day for us to actually do one of those practice tests. And that's why I wanted to, do those with you guys and take a look at what we got. So please make sure you send that over. All right. All right, so I want to get this on here for you because we're going to talk a little bit about another kind of question, which are the paired passages. All right. Thing doing that. It's weird. The camera doesn't want to focus it on me. It's looking really weird. There we go. All right. Well, let's get to it. Paired passage questions. These are still a thing, and I've talked about them a little bit, but I want to go over this in more detail and give you some practice with that real fast. Identifying these is probably the easiest ones with the note-taking questions. You know how I just said, like, just look at the notes. You see the bullet points. You know what you're dealing with. Same thing here. If you see 2 texts, it's a paired passage. It's that simple. You should be able to identify these in microseconds, literally. So real easy peasy. Strategy for these. Very simple strategies that I want you to think about. Okay. First of all, make sure you read the question carefully. The biggest mistake I see with these questions is people go too fast on the question and they don't properly analyze it. They get it like backwards, So you can make mistakes if you don't pay close attention to the question. All right. So make sure you take your time, read that question, understand which text you are focusing on, and which order you need to do that. So find the information you need from one text and compare it to the information from the other. And the order you do that will depend on the question. So I can't say here that you're always going to start with the first text or that you're always going to start with the second text. It depends on the question. So you got to analyze that question first and then you can actually get a good answer on this thing. So I also encourage you to think about the relationship between the passages. Like if you can tell that one passage clearly disagrees with the other, then your answer is going to be a disagreement. Like you're not going to pick an answer where both of them are like super happy together. You know, you're going to pick one where they have differences. Maybe they ask you to find the one thing they agree about, right? But even then, it's probably not going to be like a super bromance level of agreement. It's going to be like, all right, well, we both think this is okay. You know, like we can kind of agree on this one point. We're going to see some examples of this, and I'll show you what I mean with this right here. So this is what a paired passage question looks like. I have not seen a lot of these on the test. When I took the practice test, I only saw like 2 on the first test I did, and I saw like 2 or 3 on the second test. But anyway, this is what you're going to see. So right away, you're going to see text 1, text 2. We're going to ignore all that for now, and we're just going to look at the question on the right here. Make sure I read this carefully. It says, how would Focarelli and Panetta most likely respond to Fan's findings? Text 1. All right. Somebody tell me, anybody, which text should I look at first? Speak to me. What do you think? What text would I do first? There it is. The cheated present. Why is my thing so bouncy? Yeah, it's bouncing around. Well, there you go. There's your answer. Why do I need to look at text 1? Why would I start there? Mariana, what do you think? Why am I going to start with text 1?
The second text, because it says, how would Focari and Panetta most like to respond to fans finding? And first you need to like read the opinion or like claim of Focarelli and Panetta, and then the fans finding, and to know how they will respond to his finding.
All right, I see your logic, and it follows the order of the question. I think there's maybe even a faster way to approach this, though. Because here's the thing, like, if I want to know how somebody responds, all I really need is to know a little bit about their position, right? Like, but when it comes to the findings, I need to understand like a whole idea. So I probably want to start with the findings. Like I personally would go for this first. Like which of these two things is more complicated? A response or somebody's research? Like if you ask me, the research is more complex. And so I should try to figure that out first so that I can just easily figure out what the response would be. Okay, so I get the logic of like thinking, all right, well, I want to know what these people think and what their whole perspective is. And you could probably do it that way too and get the right answer also. But I think it's important to think about like order of operations, right? So I want to try to kind of figure out the most complex thing. Because what if Focarelli and Panetta are like explaining something and they expect you to understand something from the previous part? And now you're like not quite understanding what they're talking about. You haven't been introduced to the topic. So it might be good to look at text 1 here in this case first. And the other thing is that it's easier to find this information to start. And I think that can make it easier for you to then figure out the rest. So me personally, I would recommend that you start with the concept that is the most complex, which will be the research or the findings or the claims or the hypothesis. How these people would respond is actually a little bit simpler to figure out. I'm going to show you what I mean, okay? So like, if I go here, I'm going to look for the word findings, right? And I see the word found over here. So I know because it says found that's where the findings are in text 1. So she modeled a merger of newspapers, found that subscription prices would rise following a merger. Okay, so if companies merge, the price goes up for the consumer. That's the thing that matters here. So now all I got to figure out is what would these other two people say about it. So I'm just going to go over here and see, all right, they've argued that research on the effect of mergers on prices has focused excessively on short-term effects, which tend to be adverse. Okay, so right there, I understand that what they're trying to tell me is that the effect that the previous person was talking about, the fact that the subscription prices would rise, are short-term effects. So all I need is an answer that addresses that problem. And I want to back up a second here. Again, you see where I started with text 1 and I understand the effect of mergers on prices. Like, it might be difficult for me to answer just with this part. Like, I don't know what that effect is, you know? So it says tend to be adverse, but why? And by going up here first, I was able to figure out that, like, okay, we're talking about the prices. Hit me in the chat. What do you think the answer is for this? Like, I think there's an answer that pretty clearly addresses the point that Focarelli and Panetta are focused on. I got it all those. Michelle, you too. Let's take a look. Clarice with the question mark. I like your question marks. Yeah. All right, looks like everybody agrees that it's C, and I also think that that's the right answer. Again, I just want to point out how it is important to be careful with these, because if you miss information from one, you could choose the wrong answer. Like, you know, for example, the short-term effects tend to be adverse. It says they're negative, right? But like, you could maybe say, well, then maybe the long-term, you know, will increase or something. I don't know. Maybe it'll increase and be better. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. This part being adverse, I need to understand what that means. I need to know what those short-term effects are, and that information is up here from the findings. So again, that's where I personally like to start here. I could see how you could go to text 2 directly and maybe even not even look at text 1 and be like, oh, short-term effects. So they would just say, hey, well, does it do that over an extended period in the long term? Maybe you would answer this in naturally really fast. I don't know. But I would encourage you to just try to get the exact information you need from both parts. And I think that's what we got here. And that's why I think C would be good. Again, I don't need to read all the details of the first part or all the details of the second part. I'm just trying to focus on the information I need to answer the question. All right. So I got to get rid of all my annotations. Yeah. All right. So again, we'll get back to these in a second. We'll get to these sentence function ones in just a minute, but I want to get you doing some paired passages and see how those go. So let me drop these. All right, so I'm just sending over paired passages set 1. I'll put it in the Zoom chat too, because I know some people need that. Let me get that for you. I made so much material today, I don't even know. It was an exciting day. There was great productivity and production. All right, so paired passages, set 1. There are 5 questions in here for you to do. Again, these are also in the folder if you need them. I'm going to give you 5 minutes. Oh, you know what? I'll be nice and call it 6 minutes, because this is your first time practicing these, and they're a little tricky, all right? So I'm going to put a timer up, though, for 6 minutes, and then we'll do those. And that'll be the thing. I don't know why, man. Microsoft is always asking me for like permission to do horrible things to me. All right. Cool. I'm starting the timer now. 6 minutes to go, and then we're going to check your answers. You guys have about 2 minutes and 30 seconds. All right. First answer's coming in. You'll love to see it. Francisco. You got 48 seconds. In real life, it should take you at most 5 minutes and 50 seconds. So you should, if you're not done, send as many as you do have. If you only finish 3, send 3. If you have 4, send 4. I do like to know where we're at. Even if you didn't finish all of them, still send me something, because like I got to know what we're getting done in 5 minutes and 50 seconds. I got to know how to improve our time. I got some tips that I'm going to give you too. I got some ideas for how we can go faster on the test. Okay. Some like skills. Cause right now we're doing it, this way, but we got to start practicing more blue book and getting faster at that. So I'm going to show you noises. All right. Timer's done. Cool. All right. I got Arances. I got Francisco's. I got Adolfo's. I got Julian. I got 4 people's answers. Let's go. There's like 10 other people here. There should be more answers. I need them. I'm thirsty for your answers. I want them in my life. All right. All right, cool. We got Clarice, we got Mariana. That's 6. We're halfway there. Lovely. You'll love to see it. There's more people here. Juliana. Even if you don't have them all. It's cool. Thank you, Sebastian. I appreciate you. All right, good stuff. Where's my Michelle? Where's my Michelle answers? Some Michelle answers. I need some of those Adrian answers. Those are like shiny answers, man. Let me get. All right. Got those Mariana responses. You like those? Aranza was first. That was fun. All right. We're going to start getting into it. Let's take a look. Okay. So, sharing the screen. Paired passages. Let's do it. All right. Now, let's hide some toolbars here. All right. So, how would Strauss and Larzeler most responded? Gershoff and Durant's claim the physical discipline has been linked to mental health issues. All right. So, I want to understand the claim first. That's probably where I'm going to go first. I'm looking at your answers. It looks like most people are saying D for this first one. Let's take a look at Durant's claim. So that's in text 2. All right. So yeah, he's saying that mental health issues such as depression or anxiety, long-term psychological damage. Geez. Okay. So disciplinary action is like too much physical discipline creates this problem. All right. So I want to see what these guys' perspective is. So they say physical discipline, when used appropriately and in moderation, can positively influence a child's development. All right. So right there, I kind of think I got the idea that might be present here. Like here it says too much. Here it says when used appropriately in moderation. So there's a point where both of these guys agree. Let's see if D is that point, since that's what everybody's answering. That it can be linked to mental health issues if used inappropriately, but still it's an important tool. That does seem, when done in moderation, that feels like a good answer to me. Good job. I like that. All right, so again, I'm just trying to look quickly at what I need. I looked at Durant. I read this. I went over here, and I said that I didn't even really read much more past this. This is all I read. Try to do that. Try to just read what you need. Don't, like, none of this matters. None of this really matters. Like, this is probably good, And yeah, look, there's even a little bit more. Even they acknowledge this at the end. Like, if I kept reading, I would definitely confirm my answer. But, like, this was all I needed to kind of see the key point that was different. All right, so paired passage number 2. Taking a look at your answers, it looks like everybody says C. I like the unanimity. Let's take a look. So Metcalf responded to claims by this guy, Deschênes. So I'm going to go to Deschênes for his claims that carbon taxes can be a powerful incentive to reduce emissions without stifling growth or disproportionate burden. All right, so he's saying that like you can have a carbon tax and the economy won't just die, and it can actually be pretty useful. All right, and then this guy, let's see, what's the relationship? He seems more negative. Costs could be too high for some economies to bear. All right, it also hits low income households. This is kind of like what I'm working with here, this part right here. Y'all are saying C, that while they may generate income, costs could exceed any advantages. Okay, yeah, this says what he said right here. Impact on lower income houses, and they're regressive, whatever that means. I'm probably with you guys on C. Yep, looks good to me. All right, you're doing good. I like these. I got B's all around for the next one. Let's see. All right. Przybyłowski, respond to Hampton. Hampton, where's Hampton at? He's here. Hampton says, all right. All right, so social media can have positive effects on people. I don't know what social media Keith Hampton uses, but I don't believe him. All right, so you guys are all saying B. Let's take a look at B. Acknowledge potential benefits, but caution against relying on it too heavily. I mean, that seems probably what he would say. Let's take a quick look. So too much time. Again, there's that key phrase right there, too much time. So relying on it too heavily, right? Excessive use. I think you guys are right. Yep, looks right to me. So again, we're looking for some of those key differences or points of view in these different theories. All right, slightly different focus here, more of a scientific text. Looks like everybody said B for this one as well. You guys are all unanimous across the board here, it looks like, for this so far, so that's cool. All right, so how would Onuma respond to a subsequent... Ooh, there's like a plot twist in this one. How would Onuma respond to a subsequent publication by Cato claiming to have completely proven his theory using Onuma's findings? So, all right, this one's got like inception layers here, first of all. So Cato is saying, I have proven my theory using your findings. I'm writing another publication. So I guess I need to figure out what Onuma's findings were. What did Cato use? So Onuma, let's see, has found fossil evidence as far back as 8 million years ago. Okay. All right. So we got fossil evidence, which is what Onuma found. Cato is saying that there's this period here. There was continental drift and climate change during this, which changed these populations. So basically, he's saying that continental drift and climate change from the movement during the Miocene period. Okay. All right. So what I'm getting here is that this guy found fossil evidence 8 million years ago, and that could support this guy's theory of something that happened between 23 and 5 million years ago. I kind of see an issue with that, right? Which is probably the time. The time might be an issue. So let's take a look at this. You guys are all saying B, which I think is interesting. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on this. I don't know why do you think B? Any input? Care to share? Yeah, maybe he's got some audio. Anybody else? Tell me what everybody's marking B, so I would love to hear from you why you're right. I'm seeing a lot of that. So I like to hear your justifications. I want to see your thought process. How about you, Michelle? You didn't get to this one, but what do you think?
I first chose A, but then I realized that it's more likely B, because in the first text it mentions that like the move from Russia to Honshu in Japan, and the text 2 only partly supports the theory. It would need to the evidence from Russia to completely support it.
Okay, good. Yeah. I feel like this is the one that's like the bait, right? It's like the low hanging fruit. Like, oh yeah, thank you so much for using my research. You're so great. But then there's still some other things that are not figured out. Like, because the theory is that it went from Russia to Japan, and we have proof of it in Japan, but we don't know like what exactly happened in Russia. So you're right. Like this origins in Russia part is kind of a key piece of information here that I would think. again, I can still use the vibe between these two texts to like get an idea, right? Like clearly they're both studying the same thing. They're not going to be like enemies. He's not going to be mad at the guy or like question the entire theory because he's been doing the like research too. So I don't think he's going to be so negative. So that would leave me between A and B. Now, A seems really positive. We also have to remember that like scientists are very objectively minded people. Like they wouldn't just blindly say, hey, yeah, great job. Like they're always criticizing, right? So knowing that too, I feel like B is a smart answer. This is what a scientist would say to another scientist who was like getting a little too excited. All right. Looks like everybody at the bottom made it to 5 and said A. How would Heather address the main idea of Edward Gibbon's text? Main idea of this text: the fall of Rome was due to its own internal moral decay because of complacency and a lack of motivation. All right. Everybody in Rome got lazy, is what he says. All right. Peter Heather says more so to competition with outside kingdoms. All right. There's my answer. I just need to pick an answer that does that. Moral decay was not the cause. Yup. Point to external forces. Yup. Persian, Germania. Yep. Okay. A is the right answer. If you get an easy lock like this where it's just duh, A is the right answer, don't even worry about B and C and D. That was like perfect. That was open and shut case. Easy peasy. All right. We're doing pretty good. Are there any questions so far? Got any doubts? Want me to review anything? Now's a good chance to say so. All right. If not, let's take a little break then. We've been going at it for a little over an hour now. So let's take 10 minutes. We'll come back here. I got 4:07. We'll come back at 4:17. All right. Stay hydrated. It's very hot today. Right. About to get back to it. All right, we're gonna do a little something interesting. Let's get everybody back in here. We'll get everybody back in here in just a minute. We got something a little different to do. You know what it is. If you guys can do your show of hands to let me know if you're back. If not, we can take another minute or two. Let's see. Amaranza's here. All right, cool. I'm putting a link into our chat for you. See if you could just go to that link that I just put in the chat. I'll put it in our WhatsApp group too for a second. Should be able to get in there. There we go. All right, Juliana's in. Cool. It's a little buzzer game. You can do this on your phone too if you want. Might be useful. We're gonna just do a little bit of vocabulary practice here. We're gonna see how we're doing on our vocabulary. I'm gonna pull up some flashcards, and we're gonna test your vocabulary knowledge. So I want you to go into that link, and then you'll be able to buzz in if you think you can explain what the word means. That's how it works, basically. We're just going to do a little bit of this just to kind of keep us on our toes. Remember what I said about vocabulary, guys. Like, vocabulary is literally 30% of the grade on this test. So, like, if there's one skill that you can practice more than any other skill to get a better score in the SAT, it is 100% vocabulary. Like, if there's one thing you should be doing every day a little bit, it's vocabulary practice. Like, nothing will help you boost up your English score better, I think. Unless you're one of these people that just has an awesome dictionary in your head and you're like absolutely crushing every vocabulary word, I'm willing to bet this is going to help you out a little bit. So, all right, we got Francisco's in here, Mariana's in here, Michelle's in here, Sebastian's in here, Aranza's in here, and Juliana's in here. All right, so let's do this kind of hypothetical here. Let's just do a test run. Let me share the screen here. I just put up a new tab first. All right, I'm just showing you a new tab because we're gonna jump to it now. If you think you know what this word means, all right, I want you to buzz in so you can tell us the word. Okay, it's that simple. It's that simple. I'm gonna switch tabs. You're gonna see the word. If you know what it means, you buzz in. All right. There it is. There's the word. There's the word. If you think you know what that is, buzz it in. Let's see who gets there first. I'm curious if this is working right. Let's find out. Nobody's buzzing in yet. This is dangerous. Does nobody know what the word means? All right, Juliana has buzzed in. All right, simple. Julie, tell me what you think. What does this word mean?
Is it like plan already or something like that?
Can you say that
Like-
again?
Plan beforehand.
Okay, kind of planning something. All right, not quite. Anybody else? Other people can buzz in too, you know. Should still be open for everybody. I can choose to lock it or not. So, all right, Aranza, what do you think?
Something that is going to happen in the future. Like
Okay,
it can be near.
there's a word for that actually, which is upcoming. Upcoming means something that will happen soon, like an upcoming event or an upcoming concert, upcoming party. Clarice?
I don't quite have a word, sorry. I clicked.
Okay. All right. Let's find out. So forthcoming is a word that basically just means that you are like being proactive or like can be very honest, can have a couple of those meanings. Like someone who's forthcoming is someone who is like coming forward to do something. All right, that's kind of the meaning of the word, or coming forward to say something. So, like if the police were interrogating somebody, they say, "We need you to be forthcoming." You know, we need you to be like actively telling us the truth or actively getting involved. Like we can't have you just be like sitting in the back. Think of it as coming forward to do something. All right. So that's a test run. That was our test run. All right. I just reset the buzzers. We're gonna go ahead and bring up the next word. All right. This one should be pretty easy. This should be a lot faster. I would expect y'all to know this one pretty quick. All right, Adaldo, tell me what you think.
Getting involved is like getting into something and like actively doing things probably if you want.
Exactly. It's getting involved, being a participant in something. There's other meanings of it. Like right here, they're mentioning the adjective, very complicated. That's also another definition of this word. But yes, what you said I think is perfectly acceptable. Let's reset the buzzers. All right. This is a pretty easy one. Y'all should know what that is. I'm going to challenge you on this one, Julie. Go ahead and tell me what you're going to say first.
It's like it's a fungi, a type of fungi, and like it's eaten.
Okay, correct.
You can cook it and stuff.
You can also use this word in English as an action. What do you think it would mean if it was an action?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
have any-
English is fun this way. I like this about my language. You could almost make a word into an action, and so it actually helps to think of the shape of a mushroom. If something mushrooms, it's getting like bigger and out of control. It's taking the shape of that mushroom. Like it actually is a verb that you can use. I imagine this is just they were looking for the verb here, to grow or spread extremely quickly. So they were actually looking for that definition. So yeah, there's more to it than just the food that you can eat. It's actually also like to take that shape of a mushroom means something's getting like bigger or out of control. Yeah, the more you know. All right, next one. I wonder how much your ping and your internet really influences your performance in this game. Oh, Clarice was quick on that one. What do you got?
I mean, retract is you say something and you retract it. Is that you do not mean it and like you withdraw? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good answer. Yeah. To retract something like you said. So to sort of take it back, right? Say, I didn't mean to say that, or I was incorrect or whatever. There's also like a more physical meaning to that as well. Like to retract something, like it could be if you have a selfie stick, you retract the selfie stick after you're done using it, for example. But I think that's what we got there. Yeah. Pull back what you say, pull back physical objects. That's all good. All right. Buzzers reset. Next word. Ooh. All right. This one's a little trickier. There's a couple different meanings for this. Adolfo's quick on this one. What do you got?
I think that, for example, a vessel is is a type of container. I think, like where you can store. I also think, is like vessels are like is a part of your body. Also, I think that stores fluids, something like that.
Okay. Your first definition is 100% correct. You could refer to like a container kind of thing as a vessel, something that could carry something. The other thing you're thinking about are blood vessels. Yeah. Which is also true. Yes. You have blood vessels in your body. Similar concept. So yeah, I think all those are good. It also could refer to a ship, but yes, a container is generally what we're thinking of. So nicely done. All right. This one, to overlook. These words can be a little tricky when you got like these combos of prepositions and verbs. All right, Eduardo, you're quick on this one too. What do you think?
Overlook, I think, like is like not looking directly to something, but for example, is if it there are like publicity or a billboard, something like that, and you like pass by, you can overlook like the billboard.
Okay. So
You don't
I'm
fully
gonna say that
see.
your answer is a little too literal. Like you're thinking about looking something over, right? Like I looked over the magazine, I looked over the advertisement, I looked over the contract. There's this actually changes the meaning when you put the words in this order. And again, more people feel free to buzz in after somebody else does if you want to like give it a shot or just to keep things interesting. Like I like talking to Raldo and Clarice, but there's like a whole bunch of other people here, so don't be shy. All right, Clarice, what do you think?
I mean, for me, overlook an idea or an opinion is to not take it into consideration.
There you go. Yeah, good. That's a good answer. Not take it into consideration. Like I see Sebastian, you wrote me in the chat too. Good job. Agree. When you don't notice something, you sort of miss it. That's exactly what it is. To fail to notice. Like you kind of should have noticed it. You messed up, right? That's kind of what it's saying there. You messed up a little bit. You overlooked that issue. So nice. So yeah, careful with those because like, yeah, in English it's totally normal to say, "Oh, I looked over the proposal and I love it and I'm ready to buy your service," like prepperscore.com. But like if you overlook something, it has the opposite meaning. It means you didn't look at it at all. You didn't consider it at all. You actually missed it. So yeah, English is a messed up language with absolutely no problems whatsoever. All right, let's do a couple more. Dismal. I always like this word. I like the way it sounds. Dismal. Just, it sounds like what it means, like in a way. It transmits the feeling really well, that word dismal. But nobody knows what dismal means. Now that truly is dismal. Ha ha ha. These little games bring out the language nerd in me so hard. It's been so long since I've been able to make my corny, cringy jokes at students all day, every day. It's been too many years since I've been in the classroom, guys. Nobody knows what dismal means. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay, guys. Guys, okay. Nobody wants to take a shot? Let's take a look at this one. This is a negative adjective. Okay? Keep that in mind. A lot of times it's good to just classify words as positive or negative for the purposes of the test. This is a negative word. Diz kind of gives that away. Usually when we say diz, it's something negative. Mal, go ahead and remember that. Mal, Spanish, if that helps you. Dismal. It's depressing, hopeless, very bad. It's a bad time. That's what the word dismal means. Is no bueno. All right? So, yeah, try to remember the mal. Maybe that'll help you remember. All right. Grueling. Ooh, I like this word too. That's a good word. It's a nice Anglo-Saxon OG Viking word. Like it kind of, it's guttural. Does anyone know what grueling means? These are words you should know. These say very hard words, but for the SAT, these are all fair game. You could totally get one of these words on one of your questions. 100%. Nobody. Nothing. All right, let's check it out. Grueling. Grueling means something that is like really, really difficult. Really, really challenging, really hard. Yeah, extremely difficult and tiring. And yeah, I would agree with that. It's also tiring. Like it exhausts you. You have like a grueling day where you got to do a bunch of stuff. That would be like a good use of that word. They call it grueling races. 150 kilometers in the summer heat. That would be grueling indeed. All right. Take notes of these words you don't know. Think about that. If you're like, oh, I didn't know this word. And by the way, you can go to this link, Magoosh. I put this link in the slides when I mentioned vocabulary exercises. I think that's up here. Yeah, we're literally using this link right here. We're doing the same thing that I told you all to do. So if you're doing the practice, you're going to see the results. Make sure you do the practice. All right, what's it mean to depress? This one we should know. I see nothing wrong with this plan. Come on, you don't know what depress means? There's kind of two meanings to this. You know, there's kind of like one that's more literal and one that's a little more figurative. Clarice, what do you think?
I mean, are we talking about the verb of press?
Yeah, let's say that.
I mean, when by saying or doing something you make someone feel kind of sad, dismal.
Yeah. Okay, good. Good connection to the previous word. Nicely done. Yes, you could use it as an action to say that this depresses me, right? Like, this is very depressing. I don't know. Like, life is depressing, right? So, yeah, always is. If you're not a little bit depressed, I don't trust you. So, yeah, depress. You can use it as an action to describe some things. Juliana, what are you thinking on this one?
I thought it was like to reduce the level of strength of some activity.
Okay, yeah, like there's also that physical sort of like you could literally use this word to refer to like pushing something down in a physical sense as well as in that emotional sense, you know. So like to depress a lever, or I mean you wouldn't normally say depress a button, but it could kind of make sense. But yeah, generally we say press down, cause to drop. And again, if you understand that physical form, there's likely that emotional form as well. So just keep that in mind that like both kind of work. All right, I think that was pretty good for us. Let me do a reset. We'll do 2 more. Let's see what you got. Ooh, Catalyst. One of my favorite New Found Glory albums. If you've never listened to New Found Glory, they're a real treat. Adolfo, what do you think?
I think of 2 meanings. The first one is, for example, something to like for the for example, something to accelerate a reaction, something like that. I
Yeah.
think is like a literal meaning. And also, I think that sometimes that is used as a meaning of, for example, this event could happen, but this person has a role of a catalyst that made it happen much quicker.
Okay. Yeah, I think you're on the right track. Like something that sort of begins or accelerates a reaction. Right? It's the catalyst. It's like the key thing you need to get that reaction going. So that could be like a person in something they say. It could be in a chemistry sense, right? Like an accelerant or something that, again, causes a reaction to occur. So something that starts or speeds up an event. Basically what I was saying. All right. Nicely done. I like it. All right. Savage. So many uses. One of my favorite Rocket League quick chats, you know, you say savage in Rocket League. I you know, even though it's very British. I'm going to mix it up here. I want to hear Juliana.
Isn't it like something, like some, oh my God, I lost the word that I was going to say. Like something, extreme.
Extreme. Okay. Could be like that. Could be used as like sort of impactful word, something really extreme. Like, wow, that was savage, like an exclamation. Clarice?
Wild, carefree, dangerous.
Okay, that could be good too. Wild, carefree, maybe even a little dangerous. Like the Amazon is savage in like the most literal sense of the word. Aloldo, any other ideas?
Yeah, mostly the center of Clarice, something like wild, probably pretty dangerous. Probably it doesn't take care, like it doesn't care of what they do, something like that.
Okay, good. Yeah. Sebastian, throughout that, it could almost be used instead of crazy. Like, yeah, you could sort of say that, like this person, like, especially if you're using crazy as like that expletive or exclamation, like you're in shock, right? That was savage. That was crazy. That was insane. Like, if you're using it in that sense, it totally works. Yeah. got a lot of different meanings. Generally we think of it like in this case, right? Kind of wild, like wild animal, savage animal, maybe dangerous, violent, out of control, like what you were saying, Arolo, like not caring about what you're doing. Like I think all of us touched on those different ideas. Definitely, I feel like it's used mostly in the context of animals, and historically in the context of colonizing people, because they would refer to the uncivilized people as savages, and that was justification for committing horrible offenses against those people. But that's the past, we don't use it so much for that anymore. But generally, yeah, you would use it in the context of like a wild animal that's maybe a little bit violent or dangerous or something. And to be clear, there is a difference between a wild animal and a savage animal. If I say something is wild, it just means it's not domesticated. It's just an animal outside. But like if it's a savage animal, like it's probably attacking something or like, posing some kind of threat to things. So yeah. All right, good. I would encourage you to get in there and do that. Like go onto that website, go and like look at the, look at the words, do the different lists. You could make an account there and it will remember your position and of course take all your data, but like that's the cost of doing business today, people. So yeah, you can go in there and it will remember which ones you did well, and which ones you didn't do well. And then it'll repeat the ones that you made mistakes on. So like good idea for you to do those and just practice with those flashcard decks. Cause like, again, vocabulary is 30% of your grade. If you really want to get like high scores on the SAT, you got to beef up your vocabulary. That's a big part of it. All right, so we're going to wrap up with another kind of question today. We're going to talk about these sentence function questions real quick. I think these are pretty easy, and I have seen a lot more of them on the easy module. So I don't think that we're going to need to spend a lot of time on these, but I did want to, just look at it a little bit with you today. So we're going to talk about these sentence function questions. For identifying these, there are a couple things you can do so that you can quickly determine what you're dealing with. Keep an eye out for the words purpose or function. You're going to see those words a lot when you, get these questions. It'll usually be like, what is the purpose of the third sentence? Or what is the function of the second sentence? It'll be something along those lines. And another thing you're going to see is that the part of the text is underlined, which is not normal. These are the only questions that do that. So that will help you as well. The strategy for these is pretty simple. Remember, we always want to do the same strategy when we start. I say it every week. You want to start with the question, right? Identify the type of question, which is why we always talk about this, right? We always want to know what kind of question we're dealing with, right? And then I want to read what I need and extract that information and answer my question. Now, what do you need to read in a sentence function situation? A little bit more than you do in other parts. Like you got to read that underlined sentence. And then I would say read the sentence before and after. Because in order to understand the purpose of a sentence, you got to know what's around it. Like maybe the purpose of the sentence is to provide an example. That would make sense if the previous sentence gives like an explanation of a concept or something, or makes a statement support. That's pretty common. So I might be, doing that. Maybe the sentence is explaining who believes this idea, and it's dropping like names of doctors and philosophers and stuff and giving you that idea that like, oh, this is a really credible thing. So it's trying to like convince you. Right. So I want to look at what's going on around this sentence so that I can fully understand it. So let's take a look at an example. So this is exactly what you're going to see on the test. You're going to see this paragraph on the left with underlined text. So that is how I know immediately that this is a sentence function case. And I can see the question says, which choice best describes the function of the sentence? But as soon as I see the underlined lines, I know this is a sentence function question. I just want to know, why is that sentence there? What is the purpose of that sentence? What is it doing? What does it accomplish? All right. So what I'm going to do here, again, I see the keywords. I see the structure of the text. I go, all right, I got to look at this. All right. They're less confident, however, about when this will happen. I don't know what this is. I'm going to need to go back. And I'm also going to need to read forward, which in this case means the whole freaking paragraph. But let's just go to the start and work our way back. So the star Betelgeuse will eventually consume all the helium and explode, but they're less confident about when this will happen. All right, so there's a star that wants to explode. We know that that will happen, but we don't know when. These people recently investigated to see if we could determine the internal state, but concluded that it could not sufficiently reveal the internal characteristics. In other words, we don't know. Text me your answers in the chat. Should be pretty easy to figure this one out. So explains the work of others received by others. No, there's no others involved. Presents the central finding. No, because it presents something they're trying to find, which is how I can tell you right away it's C. It identifies the problem, right? Like the problem is, when will this happen? And that's what we're trying to solve. It doesn't describe limitations of a method. Yeah. Now, again, you might be able to just look at the answers and sort of eliminate the others and choose the right one. I find it's really fast to just look at this very quickly. Again, I'm not reading every single word and trying to understand every single detail. I'm just looking at the key words. And like I see Betelgeuse will eventually explode. Cool. But we don't know when. And they investigated whether they could do this thing to figure that out, but they could not. Okay. Just trying to simplify. A limitation of the method. I don't see any limitations of any methods in that underlined part. I don't see any methods. I understand that there is a limitation in what they know because it says that it depends on internal characteristics of Betelgeuse that are unknown. Like that is a limitation, but not to the method because the method is explained later. So in that sentence, that D would not be correct. Even though D is present in this text, it's not underlined here. So make sure you're always focusing on that underlined portion. This is the part that ultimately is going to tell us what to do right here. So make sure you focus on that. You can still read around it to understand what we're talking about. Like again, I see this. Because I see this, I know I got to read before. So I'm going to read a little more and understand, okay, we're talking about this is when this star will explode, and they tried to figure it out and couldn't. And I see really quickly that C identifies a problem and they couldn't solve it. And that's exactly what the whole paragraph says. So lovely. Now, that's basically how these sentence function ones work. And I'm going to hit you with a little stack of them. All right, real quick. A little exercise for some of these. So, sentence function. All right, just send it to WhatsApp, and I'm going to send it to everybody here too in the Zoom. Again, just a nice quickie, 5 questions. I'll give you 5 minutes. We'll check them out. Everybody should have those. So I'm setting the timer for 5 minutes. And we're going to start. And then as soon as you have your answers, send them to me in the chat. All right, we're going to check these. How much time is left? 3 minutes and 20 seconds. All right, we got 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Already getting some answers in. Push yourselves to go faster if you can, as much as you can. That's the name of the game is speed here. The faster we get, the better we're going to do. There we go. Here comes some more. Oh, we have some different answers. Love it. All right. I got Francisco's, I got Michelle's, I got Aroldo's. Let's get some more. These are the kind of questions that you should be able to answer fairly quickly so that you have more time on some of the other parts. Like if we're dealing with these function of a sentence questions, these are supposed to be a little easier. I noticed more of these on the easy module, and I didn't see like any of them on the hard module. So I think they consider these pretty easy questions. So we definitely want to try to answer quickly on these and not use just all the time. All right, I got Sebastian, I got Julian, I got Clarice. Cool. The theory is holding up. It looks like you're doing these pretty fast. You got 1 minute. You should definitely have these done in a minute. And then we'll check them out. And then we're done for the day. It's going to be good. We got a lot more stuff that I'm putting into the folder, and I'm going to leave a little bit more homework this week, but we got a lot of material coming down the pipe. I'm going to put together some like full practice tests for you guys, like with our material, with all the stuff we're not using for like these exercises. We're going to make like super awesome practice tests. So those are going to be coming out soon. All right, I got it on. It says now 2. Timer, what say you? I got 20 seconds on the clock. Let's go. All right. we have some disagreements. I like those. All right. I'm killing the timer. Okay. Timer done. All right. So yeah, that was a full 5 minutes change. So again, I think these are the kinds of questions we should be trying to answer in less time than that so that we can buy more time for the more difficult stuff. Keep that in mind. Like the faster you can answer the easy stuff, the more time you have for the hard stuff, the better your score. So that's how we want to do things. Let's take a look. Starting with that first one, it looks like a lot of people agree on the first one. A, I see a couple C's in here though too. All right. Again, I can also just try to look at this real quick and see if it matches up with anything here. Example of Benjamin Franklin's contributions to electricity research. I see here that they say that this was like when they were beginning to understand, and that makes sense. And some of the things he figured out. I'm not going to read the whole rest of this paragraph. I just want to read a little bit before and after. So I understand Ben Franklin was a pioneer. He's kind of one of the first guys to look at electricity. And then he got put on the $100 bill. So, I mean, this makes sense. Contributions to electricity research? Yeah. I mean, he did experiments and he created hypotheses. That seems like a pretty good answer. Modern day applications? No. Light bulbs and all this stuff? No. It doesn't say anything about those. It doesn't like say those things. Like if it said, oh, the light bulb, you have Benjamin Franklin to thank for the light bulb, then I would say C, but no, it's not. So yeah, it's definitely A. That's a clear-cut answer from me. All right, number 2, everybody said D. Looks like you're all in agreement. Let's take a look. 4th sentence here. All right, it's giving us a deeper explanation of this idea that currency devaluation may lead to consumers demanding more foreign currencies, which makes things more expensive, which is essentially what happens in Peru. When the sol goes bad, people want more dollars, which makes the sol get worse, which makes prices more expensive because we have to import crap. Y'all are saying it provides an example of how currency deflation can lead to inflation. I would agree. And the key thing to keep an eye on here is that this does not say the word inflation. It says price increases. Okay, that's inflation. That's essentially what it is. They kind of define that up here, right? Prices of goods and services to rise inflation. So sometimes they're not going to use the exact word, but I think you're all right. Good job. All right. This is the one where I see the most divergence. I see a 50-50 split. Some people said A, some people said C. We have a little civil war here over these two. Let's take a look. All right. His writing laid out the concept of class struggle between those who own capital, bourgeoisie, and working classes, proletariat. Some of you say defines terms. Some of you say explains Marx's concept of the conflict between two classes. Good. I wanted to trick people here. I have succeeded. I am the master of tricks. All right. I want to hear reasons. Julian, speak for me. Why C? Tell me something good.
I was between A and C, but I didn't see the two concepts later on the text, so I chose C.
Okay. Sound logic. Arolo, you said A. Why did you say A?
Yeah, I was also between A and C. I probably think now that it was C because I don't think that the terms like proletarian and capitalist burgers are like shown many aren't shown further in the text. But in that moment, I chose A because I see like explaining what the people who own the capital were and who the working class was called. So I like connected that to defining a term, but like for the rest of the test, if I would have read the rest of the text, I will probably have to see.
Okay, good. I think you both explained it really well, guys. Thank you for your openness. Let's just run back that idea again because I saw a lot of people put C, a lot of people put A. If you're between two, okay, if you feel like you got two good answers, then try to confirm that answer, okay? Try to do something else to confirm it. And I can confirm C within the same lines. concept of class struggle, conflict between two classes. Like I can confirm it without even leaving this area. So that's a good point in C's favor. To confirm A, I would have to say, okay, what are the terms? Bourgeoisie and proletariat, clearly, right? And then I would have to say, okay, for understanding the rest of the paragraph. So all I would have to do is look down this paragraph and be like, do I see these words ever again? And I'm just scanning really fast. And I see Marxist, Leninist, Cuba, Vietnam, communist, socialism. I don't see these words ever again. So they're not important for understanding the rest of the paragraph. So A is incorrect. It does define terms, but those terms are not important for understanding the rest of the paragraph. C is definitely the best answer. Yep. So careful with those. Like, I want to make sure I can confirm my answer with hard evidence from the text. And in this case, if I can get that evidence from the very lines that are underlined, that is the best answer. That's going to be the best answer every time. All right. So number 4. Looks like most people said B. There's an A in there too. Okay. Let's take a look. 4 sentences. All right. This is an ugly long sentence. This sentence is like disgusting. It's so big. Please don't ever do that. Okay. But provides healthcare access, strengthening existing healthcare amendments, negotiations. All right. I have a few different choices here. Let's see. Between A and B, since that's what you guys are looking at, I think B is better. Specific examples of policy proposals, that is all this. From this point forward, it says she proposes, right? Like all of this matches with this. Now, A, how she has opposed Republicans. She has pushed hard against Republican attempts. So careful with this too. Maybe the first part of this sentence matches with this and it's tempting, right? You're like, ooh, yeah, she pushed hard against Republican attempts. But also look at what it is. It's, instead she proposes. It's not saying like how she's resisted what they've done to repeal it. Like these have nothing to do with repealing Obamacare. This part here is related to this, but it doesn't describe how. It just says she did resist it. She pushed hard, but it doesn't tell me how. So all these things are things that she would like to do, but they don't necessarily oppose this. They're not the same thing. So you want to be careful with that one. So yeah, B is right. All right. And it looks like everybody said A at the end. It looks like we were in unanimous agreement that A would be the right one. To remind readers that D-Day was a costly victory. Okay, cool. That I think is the best answer because here you go. As incredible as this victory may have been, it came with a heavy price. Over 4,400 Allied troops were killed during D-Day. Many more suffered injuries and went missing in action. Seems like a pretty good answer to me to say remind readers that D-Day was a costly victory. Costly, price. I don't think I need to read more because I have enough information here to make that judgment. They tell me a little bit more about the operation here, and they tell me a little bit more about, those people that made the sacrifice. But okay. Yeah, A would be good. I'm with you guys on this one. Any questions? Any thoughts? All right. If not, then let me tell you what we got going on. So please, again, if you did not do a practice test, make sure you do a practice test and send me your results. Please, I would love to see those and see how we're doing with this. That's really important for me. The other thing I want to leave you with a little bit of homework that I'm going to send to the group. I'm going to send you another set of literary comprehension questions. I'm also going to send you some more supporting claims because I want to see how you're doing with those. I thought you did well with those today, but I want to make sure we're still doing well because I've seen a lot of those on the hard modules. So we need to make sure we can handle those. So I'm going to send you some literary comprehension. some supporting claims, and a little bit more note taking. We did that one note taking exercise together while I was in Spain. But I have a few more that I would like you to try just to see that we're doing well. Because I noticed we had a couple mistakes when we did those. So I'm going to send those out to you today. And that's it. All right. We have a couple more classes. We've almost seen every single kind of question. There's one more that we have to see. And then like the last class, we're going to practice them all and put it all together. All right. So that's the plan. Thank you all for being here today. If you have any questions, feel free to stick around. If not, have a good day. I'll see you next week on Monday.
Thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome. All right. And then they were gone. Cool. Thank you for checking this out. I have already done one other live stream here, and I'm going to do more of these in the future. I also have added more material to the folders. So if you watch this video, thank you for being here. I hope this class has been helpful. Please feel free to leave comments and ask if you need help with anything. Like if there's something you don't understand, I would love to hear it from you. So yeah, please. Thank you.
Recording stopped.